Well, good morning. July 19th on Vancouver Island. Trust everybody's good. I was going to give the A-OK sign, but I thought just somebody who was totally politically correct might have got pissed, so I didn't do the OK. Sort of looking down stateside, and you know, the Americans I know are really brilliant people. They're smart, they're enterprising, and very successful. And you know, that doesn't, whatever their hereditary race is, they're all just super people. Although I know a few assholes too, like every country has assholes. I met one on a motorcycle one time who spewed foul language for about 15 to 20 minutes with every insult and whatever. And I stood out of arm's reach just watching the fool, letting him get his steam off. But I think he at first thought he would maybe charge in, but I think he quickly realized that he might be in more trouble than he could sort of pick off, and so he just ran his mouth off and then got on his motorcycle and buggered off. But for the most part, most of the Americans I know are really cool. And you may be wondering, you know, I've been on the planet for a while, could I handle a young biker? I think he realized the answer to that. That's why he just sort of mouthed off and buggered off. Sort of cool. But so I say that the Americans I know are brilliant people, nice, they're just great people. And of course, every race, every country has their assholes. But the question I have, in general, are Americans stupid enough to lose their country? When you look at what's going on down there, and while you're listening to the polls yesterday and this morning, and I realize polls are can be manipulated like everything else. You look at who's sort of doing the polling and what political camp they're in and what agenda they're trying to pull, and you sort of just shrug your shoulders and don't pay much attention. But that is an important question. Are Americans stupid enough to lose to what they have? To lose, probably, to destroy probably one of the most successful countries in history. Shit, everybody lines up to get into the States, or did before. And Canadians as well. I mean, they all couldn't get in their cars fast enough to go down shopping for better prices, better selection, blah, blah, blah. And but it's a scary thought. See, we share a large border with them, and of course Canada has sort of gone down the socialist route for a long time. You know, we thought maybe Stephen Harper would. Well, before Stephen Harper, we thought the Reform Party, Preston Manning and his Reform Party, might have some hope of getting things sort of straightened around. But that was hijacked by Stephen Harper, and at the beginning I wasn't too excited about that, because I've been following Stephen Harper since he was in high school, believe it or not. He used to have a TV program called Reach for the Top, and he was on that representing his high school. You know, he's a brainy guy. He's got a lot of gray matter, Stephen Harper. Very smart man, highly intelligent. But his idea of Canada, even way back, and you look at his early writings, were not mine. And I thought, wow, he was taking this somewhere. And then, of course, you find out that he was on the committee of 300. He attended Davos and all those fine conventions with the Bilderbergs and all those guys. And you sort of knew that he was tied in with this globalist movement. And so he wasn't the savior everybody thought he was going to be. It's unfortunate. So we haven't got anybody really on the horizon that looks like they can rub their hands together and get everybody excited. But stateside is the leader of the Western world. And when I look at what's happening down there, I can't believe it. When you look at the West Coast, now British Columbia has been a basket of beautiful, crazy ideas for a long time. We've been here and there and bouncing like a yo-yo. It's Canada's idiosyncrasy sort of thing. But when I look at Washington State, when you look at Oregon, you look at California, the whole West Coast is shot. And when you look at who's running the show, I mean, it's all Democrats. And of course, they're all sort of pointing at Trump, saying it's his fault. And it's interesting because when Trump was elected, you know, we thought maybe, I mean, this guy's not a politician per se. He's talked about straightening things up, draining the swamp. And his language and some of the things he said weren't all that exciting. But the idea that maybe a non-politician could come in and straighten out this wacky mess. And it's proved to be a deeper swamp than he said. And I think the powers that be were afraid when he did win the election. Because, I mean, they almost immediately, even before he was elected, they were sort of doing all sorts of things that in another time would be the biggest scandal in the U.S. history. One of the biggest scandals in the world. And of course, we have all the Democrats, or a majority of the Democrats, a lot of the Republicans, all of the major media in bed with this thing. And I keep wondering how many of them had made a visit, besides Clinton, had made a visit to Epstein's Magic Island sort of thing, and are scared shitless that they might get exposed. So these assholes, these scumbags, are prepared to destroy their country to save their asses. It's interesting. It's a big question. And you look at things that go on so crazily. I mean, rioting in the streets, days on and days on and days on, and police being sort of held back, and their funds being cut. And I can see funds being cut all across the board with the way the economies are, but I don't know. Then you look at judges sort of disregarding the minister. The minister of the Justice Department's request, or not a request, but instructions. I mean, everybody seems to be doing their own idiotic thing. And these are Democrats. And then you look at what the Democrats are standing for, and you don't know. They're all very wealthy, and that's another thing that just bugs you. I guess you got to be wealthy to get into politics, but it seems a lot of these people just, they sort of multiply their wealth once they get there. And it's sort of scary. So the question is, are Americans going to come to their senses? I guess everybody is all getting excited, seems like, down there, especially the young people, with socialism. And of course, you just got to look to their teachers and professors, the left-wing mob, who are sort of not educating people, schooling them and brainwashing them into this sort of belief. And people figure that communism is going to be great. Like a lot of people thought a hippie commune was great way back in my day, when I was younger. And of course, I looked at it once because a friend of mine had got involved with one of these things. And yeah, he said, come on in, this is great. We're having... So I took a look, and they didn't have anything. They wanted your money and your gear because everybody shared everything, they said. And I said, what do you guys got? Well, we haven't got anything. We already shared it. So they were looking for new cash, new things, and new money. And I said, hell with you guys. I wasn't into the drug scene and all that sort of stuff. I grabbed my bottle of scotch and drambuie and buggered off. And no longer do the drambuie and scotch either, by the way. I wrote my history with that. But it's interesting. That's what, you know, socialism and communism looks good on the surface. Looks good on the surface. Everybody figures it's going to be kumbaya, campfire parties, everybody sharing, everybody doing what they want to do. They don't realize they're going into slave labor. Where the elites, like the Democrats, like pathetic Pelosi and Schiff and Schumer and that gang of thieves, are they'll be okay. Most of them will be okay. Some of them might disappear as well if communism really takes hold. You got to watch those young communist agitators who are really, really pushing. I mean, they're gonna basically take over the Democratic Party. So that's why I find out where is the intelligence of the average American, if they can look at all that's going on. The West Coast in shambles, Minneapolis, Atlanta, Chicago is just crazy. You would think Al Capone was alive and well and everything was rolling that way when you look at Chicago. And people just don't seem to pay attention. And then perhaps it's because they're mainstream media. The idiots at CNN and all the other mainstream people, as bad as our CBC, CTV, they don't talk about things like that. They don't write about things like that. They're all in this mission to get rid of Trump. Well, you go internationally, BBC is the same way. It's a pathetic joke. And it's intriguing. Everybody hates Trump. And when everybody says he's incompetent, but they don't say it gets compared to what, compared to who. He doesn't have a big war going on. Maybe that's what's pissing people off. That's where a lot of their money is made. Big corporations, and it's actually obscene when you think about it. The scandal that's going on with Trump right now, people trying to take Trump out before he was elected, is the biggest scandal in U.S. politics and world politics, I would think. And nobody is talking about it. But of course, the pathetic group at CNN, you don't expect them to. New York Times, the Washington paper, you wonder what the hell is this? And then you sort of see, you look at Soros is just alive and well in the U.S. You know, they did that in Ukraine with Obama's help. They did that in Libya, Hillary and Obama. They just destroyed a lot of countries from within, and now they're doing their own country from within. And there was a time when a lot of people would be brought up on very serious charges for doing shit like that. But everybody's ignoring it. And I guess those who wake up in the morning and go to bed at night with CNN, well, they don't know what the hell's going on. And I have people that I know on the island who wake up and go to bed with that station, and they don't know what the hell's going on either. And these are people with 2 or 3 degrees, and you look at them, and I mean, when we have a conversation, they just can't handle it. I mean, they're looking for a tin hat because they think I'm really sort of out to lunch. But when Trump was elected, that was my first thought. I remember having a conversation with Ray and a couple of other guys at the coffee shop. Is this guy the real deal? Is he really going to go do something that needs to be done with their screwy, warmongering right wing and their CIA, their intelligence group that is totally sort of wrapped itself around like a knotted root of a tree, ball, everything in a ball, sort of so screwed up? Or is he a wolf in sheep's clothing, just trying to pacify the people who want change, maybe trying to ferret them out so they know where to send the drones when it's all done? It's a good question. I sort of think that what he should do is sort of release the Kennedy file, the whole thing, nothing redacted, release it. Let the people see actually what happened. In this sort of sham of his Russian thing, I'm going to put in the description, I'm going to put a good discussion with a couple of intelligent guys. Now, if you're into an intelligent discussion, one guy's from England. He's a historian and a journalist and a scholar, and the other guy's stateside. And give it a link. Give it a look. And if you're left wing, it may not sort of sit well with what you believe, what CNN has told you to believe, what they poured in your ear. And if you're extreme right wing, it might not fit either. But listen to these guys. They debate this. They talk about it. And the fellow in England is as incredulous as I am about when you look at the States. Why are people doing that? Why are people standing for that? Or is it because the news is just, most of the regular news gets out is just pure bullshit, and people are just so, they're no different than the people in China, they're no different than the people in the old Soviet Union. They're just getting the propaganda and they just believe it. Well, that's about all for now. Rambled on a bit, but like I say, for me, it's a big concern, because if the States goes down, we all have our butts in a bucket, and it's not looking good. So I hope any Americans listening to this pass it on. Of course, there's a lot of good people trying to wake them up as well. And I sort of think at the end of the day, unless all this mail-in ballot sort of skews it, I think if people given the chance, just go mark their X, will do it properly, and will not risk a great civilization, a great country turning into shit. Take care. Bye for now. See you again.